Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1A Auto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20+ years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you and enjoy the video.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the front brakes on this 2006 Malibu. Procedure is the same for a few other GM vehicles as well. The Malibus, G5, Cobalt, HHR, Solstice, and Saturn Sky, as well as others. Tools you'll need are jack and jack stands, 14, 15, and 19 millimeter sockets, and that could vary by car. Ratchet with a pipe or breaker bar for some extra leverage, a flat blade screwdriver, a large C-clamp, wire brush, and a torque wrench. Start out by using a 19 millimeter socket or a wrench and loosen the plastic covers and then remove the wheel cover. Okay, if you don't have the benefit of air tools, you'll want to loosen the lug nuts up while it's on the ground, then raise and support your vehicle, and then remove the lug nuts and the wheel. Grab hold of the steering knuckle and turn it to make it easier to reach the back of the caliper. Okay, now we want to kind of inspect the condition of the brakes. The rotors are a little crusty as far as rust. That's not always a bad thing. You want to just kind of take your finger and run it up and down the surface of the rotor. I can feel some pretty big ridges here on the edges, okay, which indicates that this may be worn down. Also, our pads, it's kind of hard to see, but if we look in here, there's very little pad life left. You can actually tell here better. This is the metal of the pad. It's almost right up against the rotor, so this needs new front brakes. First thing we're going to do is remove these two bolts here. These two bolts are 14 millimeter, and they should come off pretty easy. Okay, and I'm just going to speed it up as I remove those two bolts. Okay. Now your disc should come off, but since there's some pretty decent ridges here, what you want to do is take a good sized screwdriver and kind of pry out with this hole, and that kind of loosens up the caliper, and then the caliper comes right off. Put it up there for now. And you can just kind of pry out your pads. And as you can see, okay, here's my pad. There actually is a little wear indicator that says there's a little bit of life left, but I'd feel better replacing these. And there's my inner pad as well. Now we need to remove this caliper bracket. So we'll remove two 15 millimeter bolts here and here. Okay, these are going to be somewhat tighter, so I'm going to use my ratchet. If you have a breaker bar, that's the best thing, or you use a piece of pipe, put it on your ratchet, a little extra leverage, and they should come apart pretty easily. Same thing, top one. Just get it started. And I'm just going to speed it up again here as I remove those bolts. I found that once I turned them probably 3 or 4 turns and they actually came out by hand. Okay, the rotor pulls right off. New rotor from 1A Auto. Put it on, take a lug nut, kind of holds it into place here. I'm just going to cut this off. have to reset. This piston has worked its way out of the caliper, so I'm just going to take my old pad, okay, put it like that, and take this big C-clamp. Okay, make sure we're not pressing against anything vital in the back there. Okay, and as I tighten up the C-clamp, the piston goes back into the caliper. This rubber seal kind of puffs out, and you just work it right back in there with your fingers. Okay, before we put this caliper bracket, two things. You want to make sure these are sliding in and out nice and freely. Okay, and then you also want to take a wire brush and just clean out these stainless steel slides. Now take your bracket, and it goes basically between the knuckle and the disc. Put your bolt in. Let it find its way. These bolts you want to tighten up to 85 foot-pounds. Okay, new pads from One Auto, quite a bit thicker than what we took off there. And the rear one has this wear tab. You want to make sure it's on the up side, so put that one in the back. Okay, and that little tab is what makes that constant squeaking noise as your brakes wear down when they get low. Okay, put this one in the front. Okay, you might have to want to make sure that your slides are pushed in here. Bring the caliper down right on top. Two bolts. These two bolts you want to tighten to 35 foot-pounds.
Once you have the wheel back in place, then you put the lug nuts on by hand, and then I just use my impact wrench to just tighten them up preliminarily. Okay, now with the vehicle on the ground, torque the lug nuts to 100 pounds using a star pattern. Now put your wheel cover back on. There is a hole for the valve stem. Then use a socket to tighten up the retainers. And last but certainly not least, before you drive your vehicle, make sure you pump the brakes a bunch of times, get the pedal to feel nice and firm. You have to reset those caliper pistons, then do stops from 5 and 10 miles an hour before you road test the vehicle. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.